Yo, yo, yo.
Hey, y'all. What's up? What's up? We are your Made for More host.
And let's get it started by introducing ourselves. My name is Akia. I'm coming from the west side, the best side, California, San Fernando Valley to be exact, the true 818. And then I'll pass the mic.
Hey, it's your girl Tori checking in from the south side of Atlanta. Next up, we have.
Nisi, also another Georgia Peach, and we are coming to you live from Atlanta, Georgia.
All right, so listen up, listen up, listen up. I know y'all wondering, what's this in the bag? This is the Made for More insignia. This is the Made for More movement, campaign, everything else in between. And what is Made for More? Who are we? Like, y'all see a lot of us. Y'all see the t-shirts?
Okay.
I know y'all see the t-shirts. Okay, let it be known. We are just inspired by a small collective group who is trying to advocate, not trying to, we are advocating for the fact that we are made for more. Right. We are getting together by influencing others and inspiring others to believe in themselves that we are made for more. And then with that, we are striving to persuade the community that we want to be unapologetically ourselves, be unapologetically powered with our purpose. And with that, not only that, we are directed to each and every individual. That's everybody who feels like they are made for more. And that is definitely everybody who has life and breath within themselves. And then not only that, we want to make sure that we are accepting our challenges in life, pertaining, maintaining, pursuing, journeying through life, combating a lot of conflict or challenges, whatever the case may be, is for everyone. And then with that, it is to believe that we are made for more. And with that, welcome to our podcast. This is our very first one.
Yes.
So I'm going to pass it to Tori to explain what are we going to talk about today.
Okay, y'all. So in today's episode, we will be talking about ways that you can help a friend or a family member in supporting them with mental illness. We'll be identifying suicidal behaviors and talking about ways that physical health can improve your mental health as well. Today we will be having guests joining us today. We have the wonderful Tera Carter. We also have Dr. Natalie Gaston, and we also have Clarence Bowser joining us today. We will be discussing the ins and outs of suicidal behaviors and men's mental health. Stay tuned with us for our first ever Made for More giveaway.
All right, so let's get into it. I know some people are wondering, wow, right now, we're definitely going to talk about this right now. And for a fact, we're going to talk about it right now. What better time than now? And with that, we know that we are definitely facing some hardships in our community and the world. There's a lot of mass shootings. There's just a lot of devastations and just deaths. To bring light to the situation is to bring light to the awareness of mental health. And then I don't know if anyone was aware, but May was the Mental Health Awareness Month. And then hence why we're going to be talking about mental illness, along with the fact that we're going to be talking about men's health, which happens to be the June Awareness Month, which is Men's Health Awareness Month. So without further ado, that brings us to our first guest, which actually is Miss Tera Carter, but I'm going to refer to her respectfully as Miss Carter, Big Purr. So who is Miss Tera Carter? Tera Carter, she is, oh my God, certified peer specialist, a mental health advocate. And not only that, she serves her community as an alumni coordinator at a mental health facility and is a second responder on Georgia's mobile crisis team that responds to either mental health crises or drug abuse crisis, either or. And not only that, I contacted her through the affiliate of NAMI. For those who are unfamiliar with NAMI, it is the National Alliance on Mental Illnesses. And it is one of the largest grassroots organizations to where they basically started off like we did, a table sit down, a discussion between other team members who wanted to advocate for mental illnesses. And they actually are dedicated, the organization dedicated to better the lives of those who are conflicted with mental illness and do it through advocacy, support, education, mentorship. And they've been doing it since 1979. And we are speaking to Ms. Carter is actually a national trainer in the profession in the Gwinnett County for NAMI. So, welcome, Ms. Carter.
Welcome.
I'm happy to be here.
So, I mean, I basically told your whole life, little biography. But if you care to explain, actually, what is your role in NAMI or just in the community itself? How'd you got into it? Wherever you want to start.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think I would like to start with, how I got introduced to NAMI. I actually was going through my own mental health crisis in 2013, And in my appointments with my psychiatrist, he recognized that I did need some more support because, as we know, in our community, in the Black community, there's a lot of stigma as it relates to mental health. And so I did not know a lot about what I had going on. I do live with a bipolar disorder diagnosis, and I needed more support about what that meant, what that looked like to try to live a life in recovery. And so I started attending meetings in NAMI as a participant in Gwinnett County. And I did that the first 2 years. I was just a participant, and then from there I was asked, if I wanted to become a trainer and facilitate the groups. And so I did that for a little while, and then from there things just kept moving. So they asked if I wanted to be a state trainer, and then last year is when I landed the position of national trainer. So I am able to train people from all over the United States to become facilitators for their affiliates in their states. And so that really kind of kicked my career off in mental health. I actually was working in the entertainment industry when my crisis happened and did a switch up. I do feel it was something that was a very spiritual thing. I felt like this is where God wanted me to be, and so he shook things up. And because of that, I ended up on this side of things on the mental health. I do work for Skyline Trail as the alumni coordinator. Skyline Trail is in Brookhaven. It's one of the top residential mental health facilities, in the United States. And then my passion is also doing the work on the crisis team. It's really passionate for me because, just to be honest, as a Black woman, when we are responding to these crisis calls, I know that when I go out on a crisis call and I am on a crisis call and I see that the person on the triage is a Black male, they're going to have a different response to me than they would a white male or a white female. And that's just real talk. I've seen it happen where they don't feel comfortable talking, they don't feel comfortable sharing. But when they have someone that looks like them, arriving on the scene, it can make a difference between someone getting the help that they need. And so that's why I continue on the mobile crisis team, because I feel like our community suffers so much because of the stigma with mental health. And I want people to know that they can have a very productive life. They can do all the things that they would like to do, but it does take work and it does take responsibility to be able to manage your illness. So that's kind of why I do it. I mean, I enjoy it. I'm very passionate about it. And so that's kind of what my life is centered around these days. So.
Okay, so that's awesome. One thing that I always wanted to know, with you being a part of the mobile crisis, when you're out there helping these people, get to a better place, or even just being the light of joy for them, what would you say is one of the things that you see most with them having that mental illness? Is it more so prone to substance abuse or things like that, or just what are the common things that you see going on around you that may be causing these things going on with them?
Well, I would definitely say, especially in the climate that we've been in the United States over the past couple of years, the stress of just systematic racism, just to be honest, I think that that's probably one of the biggest stressors and triggers for our community, especially for Black men. I think that a lot of times people don't understand that mental illness is, unless it's drug-induced, mental illness is two different factors. It is, an individual having a genetic predisposition to mental illness, and then there's an environmental factor or trigger, right? And so that trigger, and the reason why we've seen an increase in so many crisis calls for mental health since COVID, since the George Floyd incident happened, is because the stress that comes along with that. And so as it relates to adults, I think that that's one of the biggest things that I see in our community. As it relates to young people, I'll be honest in saying that the increase of consistent marijuana use has been a very big deal in the community as well. I think that not understanding that when young people are smoking substances or using substances and their brain hasn't been fully developed yet, there's a higher risk of triggering psychosis. And so that's one of the things that we're seeing with young people as well. COVID, all the factors that came along with COVID, the isolation, young people not being able to do the things that they normally do, grown people not being able to do the things that they normally do, financial stressors, all of those things. It was kind of like the perfect storm, for people to be triggered with their mental illness. And so, we had people that were already living with illnesses that were being triggered. We had people that had never had symptoms before, and then all of a sudden now they're struggling with their anxiety, because of the stressors that they had going on. So, we're seeing a lot of different things, but depending on the age is kind of what we see most coming up. But with the younger people, it's more of the substances, specifically marijuana. And with the older people, it's just really the environment and the triggers of what we have going on in our community and how it's affecting their lives.
Okay. That's intense. Yeah. I feel like COVID has definitely been a needle in a haystack. Yeah. But other than that, I like that conversation in terms of no one really creates a space for men to talk about their mental illness, given the fact that not only is their skin being a target on their back, but it comes with a lot of baggage. There is a such thing as black fatigue. Mm-hmm. There is such thing as being exhausted. There's burnout, not only in the corporate world, but there's burnout, which is our identity.
Right.
It could be definitely a struggle, so I completely understand that. Okay, so that was deep. That was deep. So other than that, how do you feel like you as a mental health advocate, obviously we're supportive, we'll support, what does that look like for other people, like I guess you could say bystanders who want to make a difference but don't necessarily have as much of an influence in the community in firsthand response or crisis, whatever the case may be?
Okay. I would say that one of the biggest things is, just for individuals to be more aware, and even if you don't have a great understanding of mental illness, just being empathetic, with people, showing empathy, just because it's something that you may not understand doesn't mean that there's not a real need and that the person may really be having a hard time. So I think, especially in our community, we need more empathy. We need for individuals to not try to push people to the wayside and say, oh, you just need to pull yourself up by your bootstraps and get it together. When no, there's actually something that is going on with that individual's brain. The brain is an organ just like all the other organs that we have. And so, I'm an asthmatic. And so if I start not being able to breathe, nobody's going to tell me to just get it together.
Right. Okay.
Breathe. Just breathe. They're going to be like, no, you need to get to where you need to get some oxygen. You need to go to the hospital. You need to get that taken care of. But for some reason, when it comes to matters of the brain, people start flipping out, and now it's all this other stuff. And it's no, the brain is just not functioning how it needs to function. So what is it that we need to do to help with it, So I think that empathy goes a long way, being mindful of resources that we have out there, not being against, individuals going to therapy. You may not need therapy, but someone else may need it, and it may be beneficial to helping them live a productive life. Being open to that. I'm very encouraged by some of the things that I see, with some Black men that are really, putting their faces out there as it relates to, mental health. Jay Burnett with the Black Men Heal movement, like that's really been very influential. Brandon Marshall, he's a retired NFL player. Him and his wife have really done a lot in the mental health movement. And then, you have Charlemagne that's really been open and honest about his own anxiety, and Taraji. So I'm really encouraged by seeing more of our people being able to communicate and not being ashamed of communicating that, this is real. Because the more our people are able to identify that, oh, you know what, they struggle with that too, that makes a big difference. And I think that that's something that we've had missing in our community that, I feel like white people have had for a very long time. And so we're seeing that, and I'm very encouraged by, what I'm seeing in our community as it relates to those things. I think it's a good thing. I think we still have a long way to go, but you have to start somewhere. And I feel like we have a great start as it relates to being more influential with the education and, providing guidance and treatment options for people that are living with mental illness.
I'm glad you pointed that out because that's one thing, you stated about having our black men or people of color, taking the initiative to go get help. What is something you would say to those people, to help them? Because us, we're strong-minded. We don't want to do nothing just because somebody told us to. So what's one thing you would say to a friend or a family member who you see is going through something, who could need some help, but they're just that strong-minded person that's like, oh, I'm good, I'll be all right.
Yeah, I think that, one of the things, when I have sessions, with my clients, one of the things I kind of point out to them is that, we've bought into this, misconception that being strong means we don't need no help. Okay. And that it's really a false, it's really false. It's not true. Being strong means that, we're able to identify what our needs are. We have that insight about ourselves, that we know that there's something missing that's keeping us from being able to live a life as productive as we are put here to do. And so with that, I do try to challenge people in that way. And then I also challenge them on, okay, so you say you good, but you have this, and this going on, right? Okay. So if you have all these things going on right here, and that's not working for you too well right now, don't you think it would be great if you can, get with someone and they can maybe help you take care of those things? If that would change your life, then why would that not be worth it? I really try to come from a practical standpoint, and I do think that because I do have a lived experience, that also has worked very well for me, because people have these ideas in their head of what it looks like if you live with a mental illness. When I go on crisis calls, if I'm dealing with someone and they live with bipolar disorder, and then I tell them, I live with that disorder too, and they be like, for real? What? Stop lying. I was like, I would have never thought. I said, well, why would you have never thought? We don't look, it's not a certain look that comes with it. Right. You know what I'm saying? But I think that being able to have that lived experience as well goes a long way, because people are able to see that you can identify with them on a personal level because you've had that same lived experience. Yeah.
So what are some things that you feel that we can participate in, and how can we get more involved
in the movement? Let's see. If I had just a couple things.
Get a pen and paper, folks. Pen and paper.
I think as relates to NAMI, NAMI here in the state of Georgia in October, they have one of their largest events. It is their largest event of the year. We do a walk in October, and it is to help raise funds for the programs that NAMI has. And so one of the things that a lot of people don't understand is that all the programs that NAMI offers are free. And so they're awesome. Free to the community. There's no, you're not having to come in and have to pay anything, whether it's you're coming for a support group or if you're taking one of the education classes. There's no charge for any of these things. Even when we have the trainings and we're training different people to be presenters and facilitators, they don't have to pay for that. And so, when we're able to get people to, come together and give, that's what that money is being used for. That money is being used to be able to assist the people that are in your community. The other thing that I would say is, we have different resources going out. Like this year in September, NAMI's releasing its first book. And it's a really big deal. I'm excited about that book. I am a contributor in that book, and so was able to share my story in that. But that book is really a resource for individuals that are trying to navigate recovery from a mental health perspective. So it talks about the different things treatment-wise that are out there right now. It talks about the different types of therapy, and then it also includes different stories from people, whether they are people like myself that live with an illness or a caregiver. And then they also include different doctors and therapists in there. So that's a resource that I think is going to be really great as well. And I think just doing your part in your community, whether it's in your church, in your school. We did a support group for a couple years ago for a year at Spelman College, and it was something that was a big need there. Those young ladies a lot of them were suffering in silence because of the stigma. A lot of them were not even able to tell their own parents that they were living with mental health challenges because they were afraid of what the outcome was going to be. And so I think just, everyone doing their part in whatever their sphere of influence is, whether it's just directing and pointing people to different resources, I think that, when you go on NAMI's website, there's a list of all kind of resources there, whether individuals are in college, whether they're professionals, if they're first responders. It has so many different resources there that people can be pointed to for help. So even if a person just has that knowledge right there and they can share it with someone else, that can make a difference. I just really think it's more so of being mindful. And then if you come across someone that is in a tough situation, if it's something that's urgent and you need to know how to get help, then again, we have a crisis team here in Georgia, so you can call the Georgia Crisis Access Line and have someone come out and assess the individual. So even telling people about that is beneficial. In July next month, 988 will be the national 3-digit number for mental health and substance abuse crisis. So even just being able to give that information to someone that's struggling will make a difference, because will have someone that'll come out and be able to assist them, and it won't be the cops. It'll be two individuals that are working in the field that can assess them, that can get them the resources they need and point them in the right direction. So, yeah.
Definitely. Well, that basically concludes our segment here. So first and foremost, thank you for responding and voluntarily accepting my request. I was kind of nervous at first because I'm into NAMI. I get their newsletters as well, because I do contributions for my own business personally outside of this. I feel like we definitely learned something here today, especially the 988. I'm going to definitely bring that up. But without further ado, I appreciate you. Clap it up, clap it up.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And then we'll be right back after these short messages.
All right.